Jamie Lloyd was born in late 1980 or early to mid 1981. We know this because Jamie is first introduced to us at 4 a.m. on October 31st in 1988, where she's referred to as being 7 years old. Jamie's mother was Laurie Strode, and her father was a man with the last name Lloyd, and that's pretty much all we ever learn about him. Jamie had what seems like a pretty happy childhood for the first 7 years of her life. However, in November of 1987, her mother and father are killed in an accident.
I know you miss your parents. It hasn't been that long.
It's been 11 months.
Jamie was adopted by Darlene and Richard Carruthers, who knew Jamie's family because Laurie once babysat for their own daughter, Rachel, who is now a teenager. Jamie clings to her new adoptive sister, a similarity she shares with Andy Barclay from Child's Play, who I've talked about on a previous episode of Horror History. Jamie pleads Rachel to love her like a real sister, as she tries to find where she fits in with her new adopted family. While Rachel and Jamie do form a special bond, their time together would quite literally be cut short. To find out more about why Jamie copes the way she does with the trauma caused by her uncle, Haddonfield Boogeyman Michael Myers, and the long-term psychological effects he causes, stick around to the end of this video. Welcome to Horror History. Jamie Lloyd does not need an unstoppable killing machine to come after her in order to gain some psychological issues. When we first meet her character, played by the then unknown actress Danielle Harris, she's struggling to cope with the recent loss of her parents and, perhaps as a result, suffers chronic insomnia.
Kiddo, it's 4 in the morning.
I can't sleep.
What is this, 4 nights in a row? You going for a record here, the 7-year-old Insomniacs Hall of Fame?
Despite Rachel trivializing the mental illness of an innocent, agonized orphan, according to the Child Mind Institute, symptoms of trauma in children closely mimic depression, including too much or too little sleep. That probably explains Jamie's difficulty with sleep, but her issues go much deeper than what meets the eye. To understand her behavior, we also need to analyze her mother, Laurie Strode. So let's take it back to that fateful Halloween night in 1978 when Laurie was taken to the As I mentioned in my Things You Missed episode on Halloween 2, Laurie has a deep-seated fear of going to sleep, which I interpreted as her subconscious being scared to dream about Michael Myers. Just like Laurie, Jamie avoids sleeping due in part to her own fear about nightmares involving Michael. After being convinced to go to bed by Rachel in the early hours of the morning on Halloween, Jamie suffers from nightmares of Michael coming after her in her room. Although they have never met, Jamie already knows what the adult Michael Myers looks like. It's almost as if her mother's trauma was passed down to her. We don't know how Laurie and Jamie's father raised their child. They may have shielded her from finding out about the horrible crimes her uncle committed, or they may have done the opposite and tried to warn her and teach her about him, with concern that he could one day escape again. Jamie is part of the original Halloween timeline, but Laurie also has a kid in both the 20 and 40-year timelines. Because those are different continuities, they're essentially different versions of the Laurie Strode character, but if this Laurie is anything like those Lauries, she would have prepared Jamie for Michael's return. In fact, in the 40-year timeline, Laurie has a daughter named Karen, who she trains to use firearms and is extremely strict with in regards to her safety. Rumor has it that in the original script of Halloween 2018, Karen's name was Jamie, as if she were an alternate version of Jamie Lloyd. I guess in the end, they were worried that this would be too confusing, so now she's a Karen.
Hey Mom, I thought you quit drinking. This is exactly why we don't reach out.
But back to our Jamie. If her mother wasn't the one to inform her about Michael Myers, her classmates made sure that she knew about her embarrassing family connection.
I don't need to wear a stupid costume. That's because every day is Halloween at Jamie's house, right, Jamie? Because your uncle's the Boogeyman. Boogeyman, Boogeyman, Jamie's uncle's a Boogeyman. How come your mommy didn't make you a costume, Jamie? How could you? Her mommy's dead.
Jamie runs away, trying to stifle what looks like a panic attack. When Rachel picks her up from school with her friend Lindsay, they drive to get some ice cream. Jamie expresses that she now wants to participate in Halloween, where she had not shown any previous interest. Oh good, now we don't have to slit her throat. It's clear that Jamie wants to fit in with the other kids. Rachel takes her to buy a Halloween costume and she chooses a clown costume, very similar to the one that Michael wore as he stabbed his sister Judith when he was Jamie's age in the 60s. Jamie looks in the mirror to admire the costume, but instead she sees Michael Myers in her reflection. Jamie is aware of what Michael looked like as a child because she has a shoebox full of old photos, which not only includes pictures of her mom, but also this shot of the prepubescent Michael, which is more evidence that Laurie probably did tell her the truth about her uncle. As she starts to hyperventilate and panic, she turns around to see the adult Michael Myers standing behind her. She freaks out, getting the attention of everyone around her, and Michael disappears. Rachel tries to comfort Jamie as they leave. We never actually see them pay for the costume, so I guess Rachel and Jamie are just shoplifters now. Darlene and Richard go out that evening, leaving Rachel to take Jamie trick-or-treating. She actually makes peace with some of the kids that were picking on her at school and ends up joining their group. They arrive at the Meeker's house, where they're greeted by Rachel's classmate, Kelly Meeker, wearing her Cops Do It by the Book shirt, which I'm gonna put on over my clothes right now because I need more excuses to wear this thing. Rachel gets upset when she sees the boy she's interested in, Brady, emerge from the hallway, making it clear that they were probably hooking up. As Rachel storms off in a fit of JGS, Brady chases after her, but Jamie doesn't realize and continues on with her new friends. She soon finds herself separated, lost on Halloween night with a killer on the loose. As trick-or-treaters vacate the streets, Rachel and Jamie try to find each other. Jamie thinks she's being followed, but luckily for her, Rachel finds her, and the Haddonfield police find both of them just in time. As they pull away, they're surrounded by pranksters dressed up as Michael Myers, which seems to be a Darwin Award waiting to happen.
Dear God. Hey, don't shoot!
While it seems as if no damage is done this time, for Jamie, who's already struggling to decipher what's real and what's a dream, this only leaves her feeling more scared and confused. After discovering that the police station has already been ravaged by Michael Myers, Sheriff Meeker takes Jamie, Rachel, and Dr. Loomis to his own house for safety. Jamie is ushered upstairs to get some rest, and Rachel tries to comfort her. At some point, Jamie does appear to fall asleep, so Rachel heads downstairs to investigate. The sheriff assigns an officer to keep watch at the front door, and Loomis leaves to go back to Jamie's house, hoping he can catch Michael Myers there. The sheriff gets word that the local Illinois boys from the bar accidentally killed a guy and leaves to address this, so Jamie's life is now in the hands of a bunch of teenagers and a single police officer. Noises downstairs wake her up, and she realizes Rachel is gone, which discomforts her, and she comes out of the upstairs bedroom just in time to see her adoptive sister rushing back to her in a panic, which is a relief until she realizes that Michael Myers isn't far behind. She actually witnesses Brady's head getting literally ripped off, as if there wasn't already enough for her to be traumatized by.
Here comes the rush, and here's the hit, and alive.
Not that Brady. Jamie and Rachel are chased into the attic, and they're able to escape to the roof, but Michael follows them, and the only way she's able to get away is John McClane style.
I promise I will never even think about going up in a tall building again.
Rachel isn't so lucky. Jamie cries and begs Rachel to please come alive, but Rachel is unresponsive, so Jamie is left all alone with Michael coming down to get her. She runs away screaming for help when she's forcefully grabbed by another terrifying figure, Loomis.
What are you doing out here alone?
Everybody's dead. I just want to go home.
No, you can't. I've just been there. That's the first place he looked for you.
No, we just established that that's not the first place he looked for her. Instead, he decides to take Jamie to the school. They break in, and Loomis may have one of the worst poker faces I've ever seen while trying to comfort her.
We'll hear some sirens soon.
Ben will be safe?
Yeah.
You don't believe that, do you?
No.
Unsurprisingly, Michael Myers breaks in almost immediately and incapacitates Loomis, leaving Jamie trapped in the school. As she tries to run away, she falls down the stairs and hurts herself, where Michael is able to grab her. Rachel suddenly appears, alive. This is why you gotta check for a pulse. She blinds Michael with a fire extinguisher, and they flee the school to find the protection of the Illinois boys. Apparently, the sheriff never found them, and killing a guy didn't deter them from continuing. Little do they know, Michael Myers hitched a ride on the bottom of their truck and eventually gets the driver. All of this results in Jamie being turned into a human pinball between the seats in the glove compartment. And Rachel taking the wheel to do this. And this.
I have road rage and I know how to use it.
Causing him to fall into a roadside ditch as state police arrive. Rachel yells at Jamie to stay in the car, but she doesn't. At this point, she's been smashed around a car, so she might still be a little bit hazy. She takes Michael's hand and has an expression of trying to understand him. I'm sure there are different interpretations of what exactly transpires between the two here, but I've always seen it as Michael passing part of his curse onto her, based on what goes down next. Jamie and Rachel return home to Darlene and Richard. As Darlene is drawing Jamie a bath, almost robotically, in a manner very similar to Michael Myers' behavior, Jamie puts back on the clown mask. She picks up the scissors from a counter and Darlene screams, only this time it is revealed to be Jamie who stabbed her. She stands at the top of the stairs in her clown costume, weapon in hand, just as Michael did in front of his house back in 1963. The same evil that has controlled Michael all of these years has seemingly now afflicted Jamie. There's even a point later on where Loomis implies that Michael made her do it.
What about your stepmother, Jamie? You love her, don't you? He made you stab her.
which kind of implies that he's referencing Jamie's account of what went on that night. Jamie develops this connection to Michael Myers. Dr. Loomis, having been so close to the evil for so many years, seems to understand the nature of what's going on with her, but from the point of view of anyone else, her behavior would quickly be diagnosed as a reaction to the emotional trauma. However, according to the Child Mind Institute, violent behavior is not a typical reaction to childhood trauma. So the most likely scenario is that her behavior was attributed to her physical injuries, like when her head was slammed against the glove compartment. According to a study at the University of Michigan, young people who suffered a recent head injury within a year of being questioned for the studies were even more likely to report violent behavior. She also loses the ability to speak, another parallel shared between her and Michael Myers, who never spoke again after his childhood outburst of aggressive behavior in '63. With Jamie seemingly following in her family members' footsteps, a bleak future for her looks imminent, but one key difference between the two would send her down a different path. Luckily for Jamie, she is not given the same treatment that her mom's brother was given 25 years before. Instead of being shipped out to Smith's Grove or another mental facility, she gets to stay nearby and checks into the Haddonfield Children's Clinic. Over the course of the next year, she would receive treatment there while also going to school with the other patients. She became close with a boy named Billy Hill, who had a stutter, causing the two to bond over their speech issues. It seems like the two have kind of a puppy-love relationship going on by the next school year.
Billy is going to have to fight off a lot of boys.
Dr. Loomis takes up the job as her psychiatrist, which I'm surprised her step-parents were okay with, given that Loomis nearly tried to shoot her at one point after realizing that she was carrying the evil, and she's also tended to by other staff members of the clinic. Rachel came to visit her regularly, and sometimes brought her friend Tina to help keep Jamie company. Jamie continues to be haunted by nightmares, and they appear to have gotten more severe, causing her to thrash around in her sleep and relive her attack against her stepmother. After one such terror on October 30th, 1989, Jamie woke up trying to scream, but not being able to produce any sound. All the trauma from the year before has manifested itself in Jamie in what's referred to as selective mutism. According to the Cedars-Sinai Health Library, the main sign of selective mutism is a month or more of failure to speak in only certain social situations. The condition is still being studied today for possible causes, but researchers have identified a number of them, one of which is selective mutism as a result of a traumatic experience, which, needless to say, fits Jamie's case pretty well. Another possible factor is poor family relationships. Jamie's uncle tried to kill her 3 times, so again, she more than qualifies. It is also noted that selective mutism can run in the family, which could also be relevant because Michael hasn't spoken since he was 6 years old. In the original timeline, there's a supernatural reason for this, which seems to apply to both him and Jamie in relation to the Curse of Thorn. There is a difference between them though, because Michael doesn't appear to really ever attempt to speak, and Jamie tries to speak unsuccessfully. Her willingness to fight back against her circumstances may have something to do with why she's not become a lost cause like Michael has. The hereditary explanation for Jamie's silence could also help explain this moment, where Jamie's mother seemed to have a temporary bout of mutism herself. Jamie comes to the realization that her newfound connection to Michael also allows her to see through his eyes. While she cannot speak, she is able to write down, "He's coming for me." But the orderlies are more concerned about her intense episode, and this detail is overlooked. Hours later, after Jamie is stabilized, she wakes up to a Halloween morning visit from Rachel, Tina, and her Doberman pinscher, Max. Rachel brings her a new costume, which Jamie is excited to try out until Dr. Loomis appears in an almost villainous fashion. Why's he always gotta be wearing that jacket, even when he's inside and it looks uncomfortable? Rachel explains that she's leaving town for a couple days, but they're interrupted by a rock smashing through Jamie's window. An attached note reads, "The evil child must die." The public has come to see Jamie as a second coming of Michael Myers, which adds to her distress and makes her unwilling to vent her issues to her doctor. Perhaps out of fear that opening up will make her seem like even more of a freak. It doesn't help that Loomis is like a maniac in this one. That morning during art class, she visualizes Michael Myers trying to get into her house while Rachel is showering, and sees Max furiously barking at him. She frantically draws a picture of Max, which Billy notices and communicates to Loomis, who calls Rachel and tells her to get out of the house. Once she's safe, Loomis tries to assure Jamie that it's okay, but Jamie still knows that something is wrong. Loomis begs her to help communicate with writing.
Tell me what you know. You right.
He sounds like my YouTube commenters trying to get me to do a video on Candyman.
Right.
This is a lot of responsibility to put on a child, and Jamie shuts down. That afternoon, she has another nightmare with seizure-like symptoms, and she sees Michael stabbing her stepsister to death with a pair of scissors. However, because her dream earlier that day did not lead to the police finding Michael Myers, she's kind of unsure if this is real or not. In the afternoon, she dreams through Michael's eyes again and sees him stalk Tina and her friend Sammy on the way to the clinic to visit her. As she panics in her sleep, Tina's boyfriend, coincidentally also named Michael, pulls up and unintentionally saves them just in time. But when Jamie wakes up, she knows that Michael is out there, and as she struggles to the window, she sees him lurking in the trees outside and freaks out. She believes he's chasing her and hides in the basement, only to realize she's been followed by the janitor of the facility, which is less scary, if only slightly. The janitor doesn't know sign language, so Jamie is sent back to bed where Loomis checks on her, once again looking for answers about where Michael Myers is. Their interaction makes me wonder how this man has ever been permitted to work with children.
Today in the cemetery, somebody dug up a coffin. It was a coffin of a 9-year-old girl. What do you think he's going to do with that?
Also, I don't know how Jamie's age skipped an entire year from 7 years old to 9 years old the following Halloween.
Jamie's a 9-year-old girl.
You're 9 years old.
It's possible that Tina and Dr. Loomis were just rounding up, like if Jamie was born in November or December. That way she still would have been 7 in October of 1988, and then in 1989 she'd be 8, but she'd be about to turn 9. So they might refer to her as a 9-year-old. In the evening, Jamie and Billy participate in a Halloween pageant put on by the Children's Clinic, and Jamie has yet another episode. She sees Tina getting into a car with Michael Myers, and her reaction is so severe that Jamie nearly throws herself over the railing. With the help and patience of Billy, she's able to mutter out the word store. Following a very frustrating game of charades and a couple more audible clues from Jamie, Loomis and the sheriff determine which store, a gas station that Tina has stepped into. The cops are able to pick her up safely and bring her to the clinic. When Tina arrives, Jamie is able to speak her name, and Tina is thrilled and shocked to see Jamie talking again. This is a big breakthrough and lines up with what we know about selective mutism, which can be exacerbated by stress. It makes sense that Jamie is able to speak again after the huge relief of seeing Tina is okay, and it also makes sense why she has difficulty speaking around Dr. Loomis. The guy's not exactly putting her at ease. However, just because Jamie can talk, it doesn't mean that the adults around her will necessarily listen. As Jamie tries to tell Tina that she was with the Boogeyman, Tina brushes it off and decides to head out to her Halloween party. This leaves Jamie stressed but determined to protect her. As Tina leaves, Loomis instructs 2 police officers to follow her. Billy overhears where she's going and relays this information to Jamie, so they both sneak out and head towards the farm where more danger would await. When Jamie and Billy arrive at the Tower farm, Michael Myers has already claimed 4 victims and is targeting a 5th in Tina, but Jamie screams out.
Leave him alone!
This is another important step for Jamie's recovery, as she's now not only able to speak, but do so very loudly and in the most stressful scenario imaginable. Michael diverts his attention on Jamie and Billy. After Jamie's quick cutbacks send Michael crashing into a tree, she finds herself unable to find her footing, and it looks as if he's actually gonna get her this time until Tina sacrifices herself to give her young friend a chance to escape. Loomis arrives with the police and asks Jamie if she will now agree to help him, and she agrees to go along with his plan. This involves Loomis using Jamie as bait at the old Myers house, and we're just supposed to ignore the fact that it looks nothing like the Myers house. In another episode, Jamie sees Michael back at the clinic and fears for Billy's safety, so the police protecting the perimeter outside go back over there to try to catch Michael. However, Michael sneaks back to the house anyway, and Jamie witnesses the last officer left to protect her getting pounded on by her masked adversary. So she gets out of there and tries to play a dangerous game of hide and seek. Michael discovers her in the laundry chute, so she lets go and rides all the way down. Let's face it, we all wanted to do this at some point as a kid. If you didn't, you're lame. She's only able to get away by climbing back up, then running upstairs, where she comes upon the bodies of Max and Rachel. Even after everything she's been through, I'm tempted to say that this was the most traumatic, because Rachel was the one person who was there for her to keep her safe no matter what when Michael initially came after her. She also notices the coffin that Loomis told her about earlier, which I just made the connection that that's what he was referring to. She climbs inside, essentially suggesting that she's going to give herself up to him, but before he takes her life, she has a moment with her uncle. Not the empty, faceless killer, but the rarely seen human side of him.
Let me see. You're just like me.
This moment of emotionality is cut short, however, when Jamie touches him and the rage consumes him once more. Michael goes berserk, and Jamie just narrowly gets away to retreat to the arms of Dr. Loomis, but to her horror, he actually picks her up and offers her to Michael.
You want her! Here she is!
Loomis is really just using her as bait to lure Michael into this trap that he set up, but as far as I can tell, Jamie was not in on it. I say that because the panic that we see from her seems so genuine. If you think about it, this is just so immoral on Loomis's part and probably very damaging for Jamie's mental health, if that's even a thing at this point. She just got her voice back a couple of hours ago. She lost her adoptive sister, her dog, and her friend who gave it all up to protect her. And now, Loomis, who she's literally just learned to trust for the first time, and by the way, is her psychiatrist and is literally supposed to be the one protecting her from emotional trauma, ends up being the one to cause her a great deal of emotional distress because he's now more obsessed with destroying his former patient than helping his current one. Despite the damage that this might have done to Jamie, Michael is captured by the police police and taken to jail, so it seems like the whole nightmare may be over for Jamie Lloyd. She's escorted to the back of a police car as things are sorted out at the station, when suddenly they hear an explosion inside, which the cop goes to check on. Jamie gets out of the car, directly disobeying what the cop told her, but whatever, and goes inside to find that the rest of the police force has been massacred and Michael has been broken out of captivity once more. Jamie is not seen again for the next 6 years.
6 years ago, Halloween night, Michael and Jamie vanished. Many people believe them dead, but I think that someone hid them away.
This suggests that the man that freed Michael, who we later find out to be Dr. Terrence Wynn, kidnapped her shortly after and kept her hidden underground at Smith's Grove Sanitarium. Michael's human sacrifices are tied to the curse placed on him by the Cult of Thorn. As a result, he only appears when the Thorn constellation can be seen in the sky, and that doesn't happen again until October of 1995. It is not clear how she became pregnant. There are a lot of theories, but I don't think any of them can be proven, and none of them seem to involve Jamie getting pregnant by choice, so since there's nothing for me to analyze here, let's just move on. On October 30th, 1995, Jamie gave birth to her son, who would later be named Stephen. But the midwife who assisted with the delivery is secretly on her side and makes an effort to help her escape the sanitarium with her son. This is presumably the first time she's gotten out in public since she was a little kid, but unfortunately for her, she is not the only one who is unleashed that night. Michael is sent to go after her. She makes her way to an empty bus station. Unable to get through to the police, she does the next best thing and calls into a radio show, which is discussing Haddonfield and Michael Myers, seeing as this is the day before Halloween.
Michael Myers. Look, anyone, help me. Dr. Loomis, are you out there? Can you hear me, Dr. Loomis? I need your help.
Please, no, stop the madness. What the hell is going on?
Knowing that Michael is not far behind her, she hides the baby in a bathroom and gets as far away as possible in order to lure Michael away from the baby. She ends up getting run off the road near a farm and tries to hide inside of the barn. As she looks for another hiding spot, she realizes that Michael is looking for her. Under normal circumstances, Jamie probably would have run away again on foot, but this time things are different because she just gave birth no more than a couple of hours ago. Usually a woman is confined to a couple of days of bed rest after giving birth, so the fact that she's even able to be on her feet and moving around is probably a result of motherly adrenaline. Adrenaline comes from the hormone epinephrine in our brains and is produced to increase blood flow to our muscles and increase our heart rates. When you hear about a fight or flight response in humans or animals, that's adrenaline kicking in to try to save our lives. It's thought that a mother possesses a survival instinct not only for her, but also for her child, sometimes drawing extra strength that she does not seem to otherwise possess. Jamie seems to use this strength to push her through the post-delivery exhaustion, hide her baby, and lure Michael as far away as possible. But now her body can take her no further, and Haddonfield's Boogeyman catches up with her. As she is impaled on, apparently this thing is a corn thresher, she tries to reach out to Michael the same way that she did as a child, but this time gets no sympathy. The last thing she says is, "You can't have the baby, Michael." And realizing that she's no longer useful to him, he turns on the machine to rip apart her insides. Jamie Lloyd's story is a tragic one. At only 7 years old, her life completely changed when she lost her parents, was attacked by her uncle, and developed stress-related speech issues as she watched nearly everyone close to her die. But if there is one silver lining, one takeaway about her character, it's that she found herself in exactly the same scenario as Michael Myers, but didn't follow in his footsteps to become Haddonfield's next boogeyman. As difficult as it may have been, she recovered and refused to succumb to the evil, even using her connection to Michael as an advantage against him. But I guess if there's a lesson to be learned here, it's that Loomis should never work with children. To see my lessons on Loomis and other Halloween characters, click that playlist on the left. Let me know who else you'd like to see covered here on Horror History, and remember to subscribe to CZsWorld for new horrors every week. Ring that death bell and make sure you select all notifications. I will see you in the next one, assuming we both survive.